Hi, welcome to the channel and something different today. This is the Diaries of a Tournament Novice. I went to a 1K RTT hosted by March of War at Belper, and it was certainly a fun event. People with fluffy armies, not necessarily top tier meta chasing armies. My choice of army was certainly based around the fact that I've just built a new Chaos Knight, and I just really wanted to play him with Be'lakor. My knight of choice was the Chaos Knight Majera, and it was 500 points, so essentially half my army. Really cool model, and you can check this video out if you want to know a bit more about it. I then had Be'lakor at 380 points. So essentially I was a 2-model army, and the rest of my points were built up with Plague Bearers. A quick overview of the tournament: it was 3 randomly selected games. You had 6 objectives that the players placed down. At the end of each turn you could get a victory point for holding more or killing more. It's a really simple format, definitely focused on the fun. So jumping straight in, I started off against Deathcore Krieg, an army that's close to my heart at the moment as I'm building an army as well. Really cool setup, only 1 tank. They had some Death Riders, lots of infantry, and a flyer. I got turn 1 and set out and grabbed 3 objectives. Generally out of range, so I couldn't get any first turn charges. My knight didn't do a great deal of damage against his tank in the first round of shooting. Over to Deathcore, they pushed out, grabbed 3 objectives, so that evened it up. Put a load of shooting into the knight, and with rotate iron shields, it pretty much tanked it. Then he decided to charge his Death Riders into Be'lakor. Now I was rubbing my hands at this. Be'lakor is an absolute beat stick. Toughness 7 with +1 to wound for anything coming in on him. It meant absolutely nothing got through. He tanked all the attacks from the Death Riders. And then hitting back, he killed 6 out of the 7, and the final 7th one ran away. Now I told the player I was playing with that I don't think that Krieg should have run away. I know it's technically possible in the rules, but I said he should stay on. So we left the last rider, instead of running away, still engaged with Be'lakor. Totally happy with that. That's how I want Krieg to play. So turn 2, I smited that rider out, so it didn't really make a great deal of difference. Charged Be'lakor into the flyer, and the resulting melee took him out in 1 turn. Absolutely devastating melee. Meanwhile, my knight ran forward right into the middle of his lines. The Rad Cleanser is such an amazing weapon against infantry. Auto hitting, auto wounding, and 3 damage a pop if they don't save. So 2d6 shots, wiped out a squad straight away. Put my guns into the tank for the second time. Killed that, then charged the squad, killed that, and consolidated into the Commissar on an objective. Their resulting turn was a little bit of shuffling, trying to charge my Plague Bearers. My opponent wanted to charge the knight with everything and try and take him out in melee, which is often the best way to take out a knight. I did warn him though that the Majera is unusual, that it does get an invuln in melee. It's one of the reasons why everyone buys the Forge World Maul. Needless to say, not a lot happened, and the knight was still standing firm. He had taken a few wounds. Turn 3 was more of the same from Be'lakor, flying across, charging into a squad, and completely decimating them. The knight can fall back, shoot and charge, so he did. The Rad Cleanser took out a squad. The big gun took out a little vehicle he had, charged another unit and wiped it out. The knight was a star. So by the end of turn 3, my opponent had 1 squad of 5 Krieg and 1 little vehicle. No objectives, already far ahead in the points game. He had nothing that he could put into Be'lakor and the knight. They were just going to get wiped out. So turn 3 I'd won. Game 2 I was up against Space Marines, this time the Black Templars. They were pretty nicely set up with Bikers, Flamestorm Aggressors, Eradicators, Assault Marines, Blade Guard Veterans, all the usual stuff. He also had an Emperor's Champion, Chaplain, all really good in melee. I did get first turn, moved out, couldn't get a first turn charge, did put some shooting in, killed some aggressors. His first turn, put a lot of shooting into the knight, took it quite a way down. We had the same number of objectives, hadn't killed a unit, so it was still 0-0 in victory points. Second turn was where it all changed. Be'lakor got a charge off into the corner against his Assault Marines. He used one of his psychic powers to make the Emperor's Champion fight last. The knight minced the Flamestorm Aggressors with some bad saving because of those auto-hitting, auto-wounding 3 damage shots, and the big gun killed off his Bikers. Strength 7, exploding 6s, -2, 3 damage each as well. The big battle was melee and Be'lakor. When it came round to his turn, he charged me, and I was wrapped by about 4 squads into Be'lakor. Did a pretty good job taking quite a lot of wounds off Be'lakor in melee. Hit back, killed a squad though. So turn 3 was a bit more of the same. I left Be'lakor in combat, moved the knight forward. I put the big shooting back into the Eradicators to take some out at a time. Put the Rad Cleanser into the infantry, charged them, mopped up a few. I forgot to mention that he charged his Emperor's Champion into the knight because my knight's a character, so he would have done quite a lot of damage. I killed him on Overwatch. And at the end of turn 3 melee for Be'lakor, he was left on 1 wound. Can you believe it? Took out a load more of his models, left on 1 wound, which meant that in the start of his turn, I got to fight first, and I managed to kill my way out of that combat with 1 wound left. He was able to plink that 1 wound off in his turn 4, but I was still left with the knight, killed most of his models, started leading in objectives and kill more, so that when it came to start of turn 4, my shooting basically rinsed him out. So I'd won by the end of my turn 4 shooting. Really fun game. By castling up at the back though, I think that was a bad tactic for my opponent. but let's be honest, Bellicor was pretty lucky surviving to 1 wound and still hitting back. This had me at 2-0, but we'd actually finished so quickly, we decided to play again. Set up everything the same in terms of objectives and deployment, and then he gets first turn, so we did. We did both play differently, but I ended up winning by turn 3 again. So technically that's 3-0, but only 2 of them count. Now the final game was against a bit of a big hitter in this tournament. He was running Deathwatch and certainly had a better meta-type list. He ran lots of small units, so had board control. He had 2 Venerable Dreadnoughts, hitting on 2s, -1 damage. The whole army had transhumans, so you can only wound him on 3s. Because his Deathwatch, he chose rerolls against super heavies, so that was against my knight. He had so many strats, he was just constantly rerolling everything, hits and wounds against my models. Now he went first, devastating Alpha Strike against the knight, taking it right down, so it was already bracketed. He'd left Bellicor because he knew, by measuring up, that I was outside of a first turn charge. When it came to my turn, I could get a charge off against his Dreadnought. I ran in, did my shooting, got a charge off, survived all the Overwatch. Unfortunately, the Rad Cleanser basically does nothing against vehicles. There's no infantry around, so that was pretty well played. He heroically intervened with his captain, and I still did decide to split my attacks between the Dreadnought and the captain, hoping to take them both out, and in the end took neither out. So lesson learned, don't split fire. His captain hit back and it was devastating. Not only did he get tons of rerolls on everything, his blade ignored invuns, and because of AP, the knight essentially had no save, and he took it out in the first round of melee against it after all the shooting in the first round. Thankfully for me, my knight actually exploded and took out that 1 Dreadnought. So his next turn, he put quite a lot of shooting into the Plague Bearers. I got a lucky roll on morale and brought 4 back. Bellicor basically tanked most of the shooting. He's -1 to hit in shooting, no rerolls, and +1 to wound. He really does keep him safe. When it came back round to my turn, already in turn 2, the board control was so devastating, and I basically only had Bellicor, so it's pretty obvious that I'd lost. I got into his other Dreadnought, beat him in the combat. Now Bellicor was a bit damaged after this, but again his captain with ignore invuln saves comes into Bellicor. Bellicor's one of those models with a 6+ armor save, 4+ invuln, so essentially he just couldn't save anything, so all the damage went through and he killed Bellicor as well. I finished the tournament with 2 wins and 1 loss. 3 wins if you count that extra cheeky game I got in. I learned quite a lot about positioning of models, using piling and consolidate to make the most out of movements. I think all those possibilities of getting free movement really make a difference. And the main takeaway for me is that Venerable Dreadnoughts at half the price of my knight are actually better. Hope you like this format, more to come. Please ask me any questions in the comments, we'd like to have a chat. If you want to support the channel, become a member, we can have a bit more of a discussion in Discord as well. Thanks so much, see you again soon, bye.